Let's see some of it. 1, 2. Hey, we're live from Las Vegas. Hope everybody's doing well and everything's going well out there on the East Coast. It's 8:55 a.m. East Coast time. It looks like the camera's all working right. My laptop. It's been a fun trip in Las Vegas for a wedding, so that'll be up. We'll talk about the fun things on Monday, I hope. And it is like 5 a.m. here, 5:56 here in Las Vegas. So, and I love my computer because it's booting up and telling me I got all these emails, which I don't really care about. Anyhow, so I'm going to have to keep my time limited and to the point because I've got the power charger for my laptop. And I also got the power charger for my phone. My phone's already dead. I do have my phone for backup, so I can use that. But I got to go to Walmart. Walmart opens at 6 a.m. I think I'm going to start plugging Walmart and buy stuff from Walmart just because they're open at 6 a.m. for us Scrum Masters who need to get something for our teams at 6 a.m. in the morning, because I think it's the only store open at 6 a.m. in the morning. So anyway, so we're here in Vegas. I wait till you see my portfolio. I learned that, or my thumbnail. I learned that the background with the light in the sky makes me look totally dark, and you can't see me. So I had to move over, adjust real fast on the fly, and adjust what we're doing. Just like when you do releases the code, and you find little bugs here and there, and you got to keep on your toe. And speaking of that, so I'm going to talk about two things. I'm going to talk about the Phoenix project. It's funny, I'm in Vegas. I decided to get this book. Everybody talks about the Phoenix project. It's a novel about IT, DevOps, and helping with your helping your business win. It's a story about an IT process. I've gotten through a few chapters so far. And then my other book I'm going to read is The Flow. So if you're practicing safe, it's funny, I always bring up flow and the flow of work and everything, and they all look at me like, what? I said, well, everything wants safe. They say, read this book. So that's another book we'll talk about later. My plan is, as we do some of these videos, one of the segments will probably be things out of these books that I have. I have a whole pile of books at home. And then I'll talk about some of that information and what's here on the show. And in the Project Phoenix, that's marked one page. And I usually don't when I wrote. But there's one thing they said in here. Create a culture that simultaneously fosters experimentation, learning from failure, and understanding repetition and practice are prerequisites to mastery. So, just like in this YouTube video with 5amMesterScrum, and by the way, good morning, 5amMesterScrum, please subscribe and like us, and let your friends know. It takes a lot of repetition to get where we're going. We talked earlier about daily scrums and how people do, 32 of them. They should be a master at it after 32, right? You shouldn't have a lot of questions. However, we do a lot of things with daily scrum. And it's kind of what we do. But think about it, that's just an interesting thing. So as we do these practices, and that's why there's so much material out there, because there's so many things to master in Scrum. It's simple, but it's complex, right? Difficult to master. That's something just need to think about. And as I read through this book, Project Phoenix, I will fill you in on the details and take little pieces out of it and things that are good. It's a good book so far. I got through a couple of reads. Every day is a chapter or something like that. So they wrote the book like a diary. So it kind of reads pretty well. But everybody talks about the book. We talked about it in different classes I've taken. The ACC, I think we talked about it. Every class they were. You've read the Phoenix Project. So I figured I better just read the Phoenix Project so I can read it. If everybody tells me to read it. But it's okay so far. I'll let you know. I'll do a book review on it or something like that. A separate video and see how it's all going. And so we'll talk about that later. But I just wanted to leave that point. Again, I just wanted to just leave that point with you. Create a culture that simultaneously fosters experimentation, which I love, learning from failure, which I love, and understanding repetition and practice are prerequisites to mastery. So it's always about doing that and doing it a few times. And one thing I'll say about that in Agile, I've had teams that have 1 week sprints, 2 week sprints, 3 week sprints, 4 week sprints, 5 week sprints, 6 week sprints. The longer the sprint, the less repetition you get into it, and it takes longer to master. So typically when you have a 1 week sprint, when they tell you the math, it usually takes 4 to 6 sprints for a team to get a lot of the stuff down, which is true. I could show you the curves on some things. They get done in 4 to 6 in 4 sprints. Still got more things to master, but at least from a backlog commitment perspective, most teams can get to handle the commitment issue within 4 sprints. However, the ones that take longer sprints takes 5 to 6, 7 sprints to get there because they don't get to do it every time. Think about it. A 2 week sprint group and in 1 month does it twice, all the ceremonies, all the events. In a 3 week sprint team, right, they only get to do it once in a month. So for them, it actually takes 2 sprints for a 3 week team. So 2 weeks, that is a 6 weeks, right? So the time it takes a team to do something twice in a 3 week sprint, a 2 week team has already done it 3 times, right? So the 2 week team is going to master Scrum and Agile faster than a 3 week team. And 4 week team, you're going to take a while, right? So think about that when you design your team lengths. Figure out what you can absorb. And again, practice makes really good Scrum Masters and Scrum teams. So the less you do the ceremonies and the events and how you do it, the longer it's going to take you. So knowing it's going to take you, let's say, a 3 week team, 6 weeks for someone to get what they already done 3 times, you're going to do it twice. It also takes them longer because you're just not getting it every day. Like if you go out and if I do this show every day, I get it better every day. If I do it once a week, so I practice a show every day, right? We do 5 a.m. daily Scrum every day. So so in a week, I do it 7 times, right? 7 times. So I practice what goes on. I kind of learn it and everything's going better. If I were to do it once a week, that would be 1 time, 1 practice. So when I do my show, the 5 a.m. daily Mester Scrum, I get 7 practices in 7, right? If I did it once a week, I get 1. So I said, what the heck? I'm going to do it 7 times. And come a year from now, this will be in my sleep, right? So think about that. So practice and repetition does impact your Scrum teams. Remember that. The other thing I want to talk about, I wrote it down. Get my little book, right? Retrospectives. Taking something away to improve on it. I think I mentioned it before at about 52%, but I really want to emphasize it's really important from a retrospective perspective when you do it, right? You can use like a lean coffee, a dot voting method or something, and pick the things that you really want to talk about as a team. So you brainstorm all the issues you have in your team, right? You can have hundreds of issues. Some people want to talk about all of them, but we don't want to spend an hour or so in retro. So we don't have time to talk about all the great stuff. Highlight the good stuff and say, hey, we really did a good job. And I think as a team, you should congratulate yourselves for making it through a sprint and getting work delivered, I hope, and not 0 work delivered. Though I've seen some curves lately of teams when they first started, they got 0 stuff out the door. You celebrate that in a retro. 1, you did a great job. 2, you go through the things that you could have done better, right? Find the things you could have done better that will provide improvement to your process and to your team, and rank them. Like do a dot voting method where in dot voting you maybe take 3 votes. Everybody puts a dot on the idea to improve the process. You vote on, you talk about, I don't know, top 3 maybe, and really get into it and say, what can you do? What solutions, right? What we need to do it? Who might take it on as a team member? Some options to solve those couple problems. Let's say you got three things. Maybe one needs to learn how to do some coding. I'm reading a book. In the book, The Phoenix talked a lot about, I could see it right now, a lot of automated regression testing not being done. Too many things in the whip. Oh, they talk about whip the whole entire show. So let's say maybe the topic in the retro is too much whip, right? So everybody's working on 15 stories at a time, so nothing gets done. Like, that never happens, right? And it was really funny. They did the analysis of the projects. It came down to each person on the team has about 1 project. So if one person does 1 project, is it really a project? And can you really get it done in a timely manner? And the answer is no. It takes a year, right? So they were trying to analyze it. So if you have a lot of whip, if you have five people on the team, and you have 15 stories to work, 5 developers, and maybe you have 5 testers, let's say there's just 10 people, and there's 15 stories. That means that each person has 1 story, or each developer has 3 stories to work in a sprint. And testers each have 3 stories to test, right? We have 5, and 5 goes into 15, right? So that's a lot of work to do. What you don't want to see in that is each developer, each tester, have all 3 of their stories in process at the same time, because, as in the book The Phoenix Project says, you don't get it done, right? So maybe that's the retro. So maybe the answer is we just have too many things in our whip. So you take one thing out and say, everybody, next sprint, the one thing we're going to do is we're only going to work on 1 story at a time. And if we can't make it, maybe you add, I will post as a blocker on the page on our system that I'm blocked because I can't finish my story because I need help. Get those 1 stories out and make them fully tested, right? So maybe that's your first item, but do 1 at a time. Don't try to solve your hardware situation, new software. Just pick 1. So we're going to pick this technique that we're going to make it so we're only working on 1 story at a time while we're in the sprint. Make that challenge and take the 1, right? So that's what you would do in the retro. So you came down and you had a bunch of ideas, positive, negatives, things that went well, it didn't work well. Maybe we got 0 work done in the sprint because too many people. Take 1 whip item per sprint per person and get it. Now, what you can do is you can find out how much stuff can you really do in a sprint. Maybe you find out it's really not 15. Maybe it's really 10 items in a sprint that could get done. However, what you're going to find out, if you do the math, and I guess I'm leading the answer to this one because I've done this before. If you do 10 items and you have 5 people, do you know how many items you have to manage in a 2-week sprint? 2. Sorry about the 2s. Only 2, right? So wouldn't it be nice to only have to worry about 2 things in a sprint? And if you further break it down, in 1 week, you only have 1 item to get done. That's your message. I need you to get 1 story done in a week. If you can't do that, testing and coding, we got a problem, right? So you got to think about it that way. That's what you want to do. So I'm going to log off early because we're in Vegas. I'm going to show you Vegas in a second. Let's see if this works. Can I show you? I got my pen blowing around here. Get that out of the way. Let's see how this works. Vegas. Can you see everything? There's some palm trees. Looks pretty nice, right? There's a pool. 6 a.m. the pool opens. So I got to Walmart at 6 a.m. and get myself a power charger for my phone. So I have a backup for doing videotaping live on my phone. Maybe we'll try it this weekend. Maybe we'll try it tomorrow. I got my little stand. I guess the good thing is I did bring my little camera stand for my phone. so I can put that on the tabletop if my laptop toy dies. I was toying with the live and the video recording on YouTube with your phone, but it's different than it is on the laptop. A great weekend and a great day, and happy scrumming. And get a book. I'm plugging this book. I don't even have an Amazon account yet. Here's Project Phoenix. Everybody talks about it. Right? There we go. Project Phoenix. It's a pretty good book, and there's got a little. My wife is like, "Is it a Minecraft book?" Eddie would like that book. It's about Minecraft, isn't it? Because you got the Minecraft guy. I'm like, no. I love my wife. She's awesome. I don't know what I'd do without her. Anyway, have a great weekend. I'm in Vegas. Gonna gamble a little bit, do some hiking, go to a wedding, come back and be back to work on Tuesday. But I'm gonna do daily scrum, 5 a.m. Mester Scrum every day if I can. Take care and have a beautiful weekend. Bye. And end.